we're good. Yeah, we're live there. Perfect. And here we go. We're going to go on Instagram as well. All right. Great. Okay, so we're live on all platforms. Happy Tuesday, guys. I hope you're all having a great day. I'm telling you, sometimes technology is such a blessing, right? It allows us to be so much more productive and be everywhere all at once. I'm connecting on a bunch of different platforms right now, but at the same time, it was failing me on Facebook. So I apologize for the delay, but we're here, we're good. I'm going to allow a few of you to hop on if you're tuning in on Instagram. Happy you're able to hop on live, and same thing on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So we should be good here. We'll get right into it because we don't have much time to waste with today's talk. So today we're going to be talking about perimenopause and why this is such a window of opportunity to reclaim your metabolism. Most women are told almost nothing about perimenopause, right? Until it hits them like a brick wall. And suddenly your energy feels unpredictable. Your body isn't responding the same way that it used to. You start to wonder, like, what is happening to me, right? It's almost, from a lot of women that I hear, that I talk to every day, it's almost like just an overnight shift, right? And the truth is, perimenopause isn't just like, a lot of people look at it as like, oh, it's age, or they've been told by their doctors, oh, this is just part of aging. This is just going to happen. Perimenopause is absolutely not just a slow slide into aging. It could actually be it is actually a perfect metabolic window of opportunity, where if you know how to support your body through those changes, you could really, really set yourself up for the years and years to come. And I hear from so many women on a daily basis who are used to, being high performing, and they're juggling work, they're juggling family life, they're juggling everything, in between all that, right? And taking care of themselves. And now they just feel like their body isn't as reliable, right? And the things that they used to be able to handle, no problem, like their body's just not able to keep up. For some women, that's brain fog. That's, they're just feeling like they're holding on to a lot of weight in their midsection, and it's just like, it feels uncomfortable, it's slowing them down, or just uncontrollable mood swings, or their emotions are all over the place. The energy crashes throughout the day that no amount of caffeine can fix, right? And it's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's that your biology is changing. And once you understand what's changing, what you could do about it, you could stop fighting against it, and you could actually start working with it. And quickly, just before we dive deeper into today's talk, we're going to be covering a lot. So if you're able to watch the whole thing, awesome. I'm excited to have you here. Before we dive any deeper, if you're new here, if you're new to my Instagram page, the Facebook group, LinkedIn, or if you're tuning in on YouTube, I'm Alexis Gerleau. I'm a biologist specialized in cellular and hormonal health. And I've turned into a personal trainer, nutrition coach beyond that. And over the last decade, my team and I have helped thousands of women just break through plateaus and transform their bodies by learning how to work with their unique biology, not against it. So the reason why I'm personally so passionate about this is because I've lived it. 10 years ago, after a really bad cycling accident and a really bad concussion, my first concussion, because I had a second concussion after that too, but my first concussion, my body completely turned on me. And within months, everything fell apart. My hormones tanked. My thyroid crashed. I lost my period for a year and a half. I gained weight. And I honestly just, the way that I'm able to describe it now, today, is I just felt like a stranger in my body. So despite trying everything, tracking apps, strict diets, endless workouts, supplements, I wasn't afraid of working hard, my body was staying stuck. And the reality for me, and the reality for any hormonal, any shift in, again, your hormones, in your biology, is nothing on the surface for me was going to work, because the real changes were happening on a deeper level. My biology was adapting, my metabolism was shifting, and my cells and hormones just needed a different kind of support. So until I figured that out, my body just wasn't responding to the surface level approaches. And when I finally realized that and stopped fighting against my body and started listening to it and understood how those shifts, like what shifts I needed to make, that's when things started to change. So if you're saying that right now and you're feeling, again, like just like your body's kind of unreliable, you're feeling out of control, it's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's not that your body's broken. It's that your body is just signaling that's just time to level up, right? Time to make a change. This isn't the end or the decline of your vitality. It's really the beginning of a new chapter. And the choice is, for a lot of women, the choice is either just ignore it and keep blaming your hormones, right? Keep blaming the shifts in hormones and face higher risks of, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, bone loss, all the things that come with it. Or look at it and embrace it and use it as a season that's used to reclaim your energy, that's used to protect your metabolism and really set yourself up to thrive for the long term. So that's exactly what we're going to be covering today. So again, I appreciate any of you who are able to join in, spend this time with me today. Really happy to have you here. So let's just first, I always like starting these little trainings off with like what's happening. What's the why behind what's going on and what's really driving these changes under the surface, because it's not just one thing. And until you recognize what's happening, you don't really know what to change, right? You don't really know. And if we don't understand the why, then we don't know what to focus on, right? We don't know what to be aware of. So there's actually five top silent shifts that are happening in your body during perimenopause that explain why your energy, why your weight, why your mood, and even why, sleep can feel so unpredictable during this time. So once you understand these 5 shifts, it's like turning on lights in a dark room, right? It just, everything starts to make more sense. You start to understand why it's happening to you, and you know where to focus your energy on. Now I'm going to be covering a lot today. Of course, like just a disclaimer, like this isn't just like general, it's not medical advice. It's not also the fact that like I can't personally tell you what you need. If you want personal advice, feel free to DM me after. We could talk about your situation specifically, but there's a lot of key things I'm going to be covering today that are going to help you, the foundational stuff. So stay tuned for that. So first thing is, the first top shift that happens is the obvious one that everybody talks about, right, during perimenopause, and that's declining hormones, right? So we do know that estrogen and progesterone start to decline. And when it's more about like the fluctuations that happen during perimenopause, because and I like to call this, it's almost like your hormones on a roller coaster, and it's almost like reverse puberty. Your hormones are fluctuating so much, your body's trying to like protect you, even though it doesn't feel like that sometimes. But when your hormones, when your estrogen and progesterone start to shift and they start to fluctuate a lot, it's not just your cycle that changes. And that's often, just a little side note, that's a very big misconception about perimenopause. A lot of women or their doctors tell them like, oh no, your cycle's the same. Like none of these symptoms have anything. You're too young for perimenopause. And that's not entirely true. You don't have to wait for your cycles to start changing and start fluctuating a ton for you to be experiencing the perimenopause, the season of perimenopause, right? So these hormones aren't just in charge of your period, right? They're in charge of they're master regulators actually for your brain, for your mood, for your sleep, for your temperature, for regulating your body temperature, and even how your body is able to handle stressors. So think of estrogen as like the CEO of your brain. And it's like, during your reproductive years, estrogen was like showing up, let's say it's like an employee, right? So like showing up on time every day, keeping everything running smoothly. And then suddenly estrogen, the CEO of your brain, just starts to show up later, and starts to leave earlier, doesn't come into work at all without saying anything. And that inconsistency is extremely disruptive in the body, right? So this is why so many women, because of these changes, they start to notice the brain fog, the night sweats, the hot flashes. Again, I'm just naming symptoms here. You may not be experiencing those personally, but even like maybe increased anxiety or things that never used to make you feel anxious before. You're starting to notice that you're feeling a bit more antsy about it. Disrupted sleep, right? So all of these symptoms aren't random. It's the ripple effect of a lot of like changes are happening in your body. Your biology is changing, and it's also the ripple effect of those hormones just not being as predictable, right? So just a couple of things that can really help with this these declining hormones is, first off, light, and just keeping your body likes to know that it's going to be in sync. So like it likes to have there has to be some predictability for your body. So light is one of the easiest things that you could start with. So just simply waking up, exposing yourself to daily sunlight, ideally within like an hour of waking up, even if it's like just standing outside for 5 to 10 minutes, or if you're going to go out for a morning walk. That's a really great way to anchor your circadian rhythm, so your wake sleep cycle. And that's a big thing too, especially during perimenopause, is you really want to pay attention to consistent sleep and wake times, meaning that you want to ideally focus on going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, even on weekends. So anchoring, like exposing yourself to light first thing in the morning, and then dimming lights at night, avoiding, blue light from your phone or computer. These are all things that can really help with your circadian rhythm and are super, super important, especially when hormones start to get a bit wacky. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing, and this ties into sleep, energy as well, is just improving your sleep hygiene, which I know for a fact, like, for myself, I'm in my 30s now. I'm not going through perimenopause, okay, but I do notice a big shift now that I'm in my 30s compared to when I was in my 20s in terms of sleep. I used to get away with a lot more. And when you start to hit perimenopause and when hormones start to shift even more, I hear this from a lot of women. They're like, you know what, I never really had to pay so much attention to like a sleep routine, right? And like winding down before bed, but now I really have to be more aware of it. And this is something that is so, so important. So if you're not already, if you don't really have like a wind down routine, and guys, it doesn't have to be like an hour routine, meditation. If that's your thing, cool. But like, it's not about spending a bunch of time on it, but just making sure something as simple as putting your screens away at least 30 minutes, an hour before bed, dimming the lights, because we're exposed to so much artificial light throughout the day. We're not, I know for myself, especially, like, I'm not outside, right, throughout the day. And like for a lot of people, we spend most of the day inside. So dimming the lights at night. Try relaxing activities, like something as simple as like stretching, journaling, a warm shower, something to just calm down your body. And also turning the temperature down. So especially your bedroom. So keeping your bedroom cool around like 68 degrees. Hormone changes especially can make you more sensitive to like night sweats, of course. So just making sure that you're lowering the temperature. It also helps for just more restful sleep. So these are all simple things, again, that you could be doing first thing in the morning and at night before bed. And that could even be like, going, like putting your phone in another room. That's something that I personally have to do. Charging in another room and making sure that I go to bed, I don't have my phone there because else I'm going to be on it. And I just journal for like 5 minutes, like 3 things I'm grateful for the day, put it away. And then like, it just helps me, like even just practicing that gratitude before going to bed helps me like relax, turns off my brain. If I feel like I'm thinking about a lot of things for the next day, I'll jot down some notes for the following day to just get that, out of my brain space. So these are things that you could be implementing first thing in the morning and at night. Now, when it comes to, again, there's a lot that goes into this, but those are like the simplest things that you could start off with: light therapy, and making sure you're dimming at night. Now, when it comes to nutrition and hormone changes, this is where we want to be a bit more strategic. So I hear from a lot of women on a daily basis, I'm eating clean, I'm doing all the things I used to do. Some of them are tracking calories. And I'm just like, I'm still feeling low energy. I'm still not losing weight. They're not seeing a difference despite doing all the right things or all the same things that they used to do. Especially when it comes to the hormone changes, it's not just your hormones that are changing. It's also and this is where I like to use my analogy. So we have our cells, which are like our email inboxes, and we have our hormones, which are the messengers. So our cells naturally, as we mature as women, as we age, this applies to men too, our cellular health our receptors start to weaken. Okay. So like, even if you have less hormones that are in your body, right, in your bloodstream, and they're not able to land properly on the cell receptors. So we need to be doing things that are going to help increase our cells' capacity to generate more energy, and that helps with metabolism. That helps with a bunch of things. So that's why when women come to me and they're like, oh, I'm eating clean, I'm doing all these things, it's not just about eating clean. Eating clean does not equal focusing on your metabolic health. So when it comes to your nutrition, we do want to be a bit more strategic at this point in time. A couple of things is, when it comes to eating, it's not just about eating a bunch of protein, a bunch of fruit, veggies, like those are all great starts, but it's really about how you're pairing your foods throughout the day. How you're, in terms of like just blood sugar, your energy throughout the day, eating regularly, making sure, you're having protein, carb, fat. Those are like the basics. But also when it comes to, like, for a lot of women, when it comes to sleep, when it comes to energy, a lot of women that come to us and are struggling with sleep, they're doing things like intermittent fasting. And it sounds crazy and it sounds like so against everything else that's out there. But when we shift their way of eating throughout the day, that improves their blood sugar. And also, for some women, we even add a bedtime snack. Now, this, again, has to be done, it's case by case, has to be done strategically. But when we add like a bit of protein, a complex carb before bed, not like right before bed, but like an hour and a half before bed, think like Greek yogurt with berries, or like rice cakes with like turkey slices or something light like that, it helps prevent blood sugar crashes throughout the night. Obviously, other tactics are like limiting alcohol and caffeine, right? Like caffeine after, let's say, 12 p.m., just to be safe. Like, both of those things do amplify sleep disruption. They amplify hot flashes. They amplify anxiety. But these are just in terms of the nutrition. It's not, you could be eating as clean as possible, but if there's no strategy behind it and there's no strategy in terms of what the rest of your day looks like, that's when it could disrupt your sleep and energy for the next day. Another thing too that I'm just going to mention here as well for sleep, if you are struggling with falling asleep, staying asleep, and like, again, I'm not supplement driven at all, but one thing we do always mention and always recommend is magnesium glycinate. So that's very helpful for relaxation, or L-theanine could also be helpful. Again, I wouldn't go straight to that until the foundation is built, but that could help to supplement. And most people are deficient in magnesium, so it is one that is safer to take without doing blood work. Like, you can't, like, unless you're overdosing on it completely, but if you're taking like the 250 milligrams, you should be fine. But again, it's really about how you're tying everything together that's going to affect how your body is responding. Now, that brings me to the next point too, in this first point of hormones declining, lifestyle. So many women come to us and, they're doing a bunch of different things, right? They're stressing about eating clean. They're stressing about calorie counting. They're lifting like 5-6 days a week, or they're doing a bunch of like, beach body workouts and killing themselves. At this point, again, just like the nutrition, we need to be strategic. We need to make sure that we're focusing on regulating your stress response. So incorporating strength training really, really is key. That should be like, the main thing that you're focusing on 2 to 3 times a week. And again, when it comes to that, it's being strategic with it, right? It's not about doing a bunch of random workouts. It's making sure that you're being efficient with your time. You're getting sufficient recovery in between. So that's why I like to say 2 to 3 times a week, full body type of training. And then in between, if you want to go for walks, if you want to do other stuff, like again, it depends case by case. Like if we get endurance athletes working with us and they have like other trainings, we need to balance it out. But making sure that you're doing the 2 to 3 strength workouts per week allows your body to get sufficient recovery in between. Other things too, just in terms of lifestyle management, deep breathing, just to help balance out your stress response. That also interacts with your sex hormones, and because it impacts cortisol, which could impact your sex hormones. And just daily movement, right? If you're somebody, and we're about to enter a very busy season of the year, October, November, like when holidays start. And if things start to get crazy, like just making sure that you're getting daily movement, some walking or some exercise snacks throughout the day, mobility work, that too has such a big impact on sleep quality, mental clarity, and a lot of these symptoms. Last point I just want to make here too is like in terms of declining hormones, if some symptoms are very severe, and again, we work with a lot of women who are not on hormone therapy, some who are, and for those who are on hormone therapy, our goal, what we focus on is, again, impacting the cellular health part, right? So we're making sure that the hormone therapy is going to work even more efficiently. But let's say you're somebody who's not on hormone therapy and your symptoms are really, really severe. Again, you've tried a bunch of different things, and there's a lot that goes into that too. But if, let's say, you are having severe symptoms, you're considering hormone therapy, discussing that with your doctor. But I will say, like, the foundations always need to be in place alongside hormone therapy or supplementation, because again, it's not just about adding hormones, it's about what your body does with that. And that's our whole focus whenever we're working with anybody, is we're increasing your body's capacity to work better. So whether you're on hormone therapy or not, we're really looking at the deepest level to get the rest working properly. So certain things like that, or certain supplements, again, popular ones out there like ashwagandha, rhodiola, black cohosh, like those things can help with supporting stress, supporting mood, mild hot flash symptoms, but these things should always be used strategically, not randomly. So again, when it comes to that first point, declining hormones, there are a lot of like basic foundational things to cover first, and to make sure you're doing consistently. Your body needs those consistent signals before layering anything else on. So that's the first point. Now we're going to go into the next one. So when we're talking, the second major shift, like I said, there's 5 shifts that happen, right? The second major one is loss of muscle. Now, from your 30s on, women tend to lose like 3 to 8% of muscle per decade. And this speeds up, right, as we continue to mature during menopause, during perimenopause, right, as things start to change. And muscle is like your metabolic currency. So it stores glucose, which is like carbs, sugars. It regulates your blood sugar. It supports your bone health. It keeps your metabolism running higher. So when muscle starts to decline, fat gain speeds up, or fat distribution, right, also changes due to the shifts in hormones. Your metabolism slows down. Energy starts to decline because your body's not able, if you have less muscle, you're not able to use sugar as well as efficiently. So when it comes to this, again, it goes back to strength training at least 2 to 3 times per week, and focusing, again, not just on random workouts and switching it up constantly. We want to focus on progressive overload. We want to focus on adding weights, adding reps, adding volume, getting stronger. In terms of protein, simple little tactic, simple thing to focus on throughout your day is just incorporating about 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal, which at Flexus Fitness, we like to use hand portions. We calculate your specific hand portions for you instead of calorie counting and weighing food, all that, which is about 1 palm of protein. And plus, especially in and around your workouts, you'd want to aim for a protein source, within an hour, max 2 hours after working out. That's when your body is going to be primed for building, just recovering muscle protein synthesis. We want to make sure you're getting that within 2 hours of working out. So another thing too with muscle loss is daily movement snacks. Like I said before, you could be working out an hour every day, but if you're sitting, if you're sedentary throughout the day, that hour is not going to just negate everything, like the rest of your day that you're sitting, right? So that's where, if you're not if you're not on your feet a lot throughout the day, getting up, walking around, squeezing. Some of my favorite things I like to do is like single leg balance, squeezing glute, just waking up my glutes, holding it for like 5 seconds at a time, doing like 5 reps on each leg, band pull aparts, just to open up my posture. And it just allows you to reset as well. So I would say every hour and a half, it also gives your brain a break, right? You reset. Push-ups on the counter, squats when you're going to the washroom, every time you go to pee, you do some squats. Like I said, resistance bands, like band pull parts at your desk. All these things, it seems so simple, but they do add up. And again, like movement is like lotion, motion is lotion, right? So the more you have those little movements throughout the day, not only does it help with your focus, your posture, but it also keeps, things going, right? So there's that. And then the recovery aspect. So sleep and nutrition are key to building muscle. It's not just your workouts that are going to build muscle. That's where recovery and nutrition and tying all of that together in a strategic way is going to help your body preserve lean muscle mass and build up on it. A lot of women also ask, okay, in terms of like muscle function, like how would I see, like what labs would I look at in terms of how my body is handling muscle or producing muscle? Some simple labs, like without going the function, like super in depth, like we typically look deeper, but vitamin D, iron, and thyroid, a full thyroid panel, all play a role in muscle function. Hormone therapy can help slow down muscle loss by improving just like estrogen, testosterone, if you're also on testosterone, that balance. But if you're not strength training, if you're not, recovering properly, if you're not sleeping well, if you're not focusing on nutrition, it's not going to be the magic fix, right? Now, the third shift is blood sugar and insulin resistance. So as hormones start to shift in perimenopause, it does affect our blood sugar. It does make us more insulin resistant. So meaning that by the age of like 45, up to 80% of women start to experience some sort of insulin resistance. This means that your cells aren't responding well to insulin. So sugar is just lingering in your blood. And the result from that is fatigue, perhaps more cravings, holding on to fat around your midsection, more belly fat, and just higher disease risk. It is linked to other diseases. So what helps with this, when we're thinking about nutrition, like I said, just simple things to anchor yourself on: 25 to 30 grams of protein every meal. Avoid eating your carbs just alone. So you always want to pair your carbs with a protein or fat. That includes fruit. That includes even when vegetables, they're fibrous. So like you could get away with having veggies on their own, but that's kind of boring. So you want to pair that too with like some hummus or a Greek yogurt dip. That way you're getting some protein in. So all these things that helps to keep your blood sugar steady. It helps to improve your insulin sensitivity, and adding just more fiber, right? Bulking up your meals. Fiber helps to, helps to fill you up, and also helps with digestion, slowing things down. So that slows down any glucose spikes as well. Another really simple thing, and we do this a lot with women who, when we get their labs back and they have high like A1C levels, and I do want to specify here too, like some of the women that happens to, they're almost like, I don't understand, like I'm eating perfectly, I'm not changing anything, like I'm working out a ton. Again, the hormone shifts could affect cholesterol, insulin, all these things, sugars. So when we see that, we dial in their nutrition, everything, but another simple thing that you could do is even just getting up and going like for a walk after eating, 5-10 minutes, just walking around, getting some movement in, not crazy movement because you don't want to throw up, but just a simple walk or moving around, that helps to improve insulin sensitivity as well. And of course, biggest thing is your stress, right? So again, cortisol itself can increase during perimenopause, and it can also spike your blood sugar. So if you are noticing yourself, and stress isn't just emotional stress. It's not just feeling anxious, right? That could be you're stressing out your body in other ways. You're not eating enough. You're overtraining. So these are all things that you want to consider as well. From like a functional point of view, when we're looking at labs for this, and like these aren't always typical ones that your doctor will order. So asking for this is always a good idea. Tracking fasting glucose, fasting insulin, A1C, APOB, and just like those allow us to see again how well your cells are able to uptake glucose. So that's what we look for as a biologist. That's what I'm looking for when I see those results. Now, the second to last one, biggest shift, is fat redistribution. Even without weight gain, fat often shifts, right? From hips and thighs to your belly, to your midsection. And oftentimes this is visceral fat, meaning this is the deep kind of fat around your organs. It's not just an aesthetic thing. Like for a lot of women, yes, they feel uncomfortable, they don't feel confident, right? But it's also, it puts us at higher risk health-wise. It's inflammatory, it worsens insulin resistance, and it raises your risk for heart disease. So what helps with this? Again, simple lifestyle strategies. Limiting alcohol. Now, notice I'm not saying cutting alcohol out completely, limiting it. That does drive, it affects sleep, it drives more inflammation, it drives belly fat. So how you go about drinking alcohol comes into play too, which are tactics that we teach when we're working with women one-on-one. If you are not already doing this, but making sure you're balancing out your meals properly, like I spoke about before, that's like the simplest thing. And like, that's one of the things where, like I said, a lot of women that come to us, they're already doing all the things. They've tried diets, they've tried, counting calories, try all these things, but they're just missing that piece of what that balance should look like for their unique biology. So that's a big, big one. Training. So if you're doing a lot of like heavy HIIT workouts, a lot of intense cardio, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally, I'm a runner, I'm a triathlete, I like cardio, but I do know that especially as we get older now, how important strength is. So replacing, long cardio sessions or very intense cardio sessions with heavy strength training. And I will say, like, it is important to add in intensity. So it's not about not doing any HIIT. You want to throw that in. But again, how you're balancing out as a whole. So like I said, 2 or 3 strength workouts, adding in intervals into there is the best way to make sure you're giving your body the right stimulus to build muscle, to make sure that you're doing workouts that are efficient for metabolic health, but also giving yourself a recovery in between. What else? Prioritizing sleep. We know that one. I've repeated this over and over again during this talk. Poor sleep, of course, does raise cortisol. It will lead to more, just increases belly fat. And in terms of inflammation, that is something too that naturally does increase during the perimenopause shift. So when we're looking at labs for a lot of women, looking at your CRP levels to see where that is at, your lipid panel to see how that's going, where that, like what the trend is for there, that allows us to see what kind of shifts we need to make in terms of lifestyle strategies. Now, the last one, the 5th shift is, and this is the one where it just brings, like, again, like I said, we look at what's happening beneath the surface on a cellular level, and then everything stacks on top of this one. And it's just naturally your body is slowing down in terms of cellular health. So slower cellular energy in particular. So your mitochondria, at the deepest level, you have your mitochondria, which I'm sure if you remember like 9th grade biology, 8th grade, 9th grade, whatever it was, but your mitochondria are the powerhouses, right, of the cell. So they're basically your body's power plants, and they don't fire the same way anymore. Less muscle, more fat, more hormone shifts equals sluggish cellular energy. I'm not just talking about feeling sluggish, but your body isn't able to produce energy the same way to get everything else functioning the way it was. So that's why so many women, and if you're feeling this, you're going like, I'm doing everything right, but I just don't have the spark that I used to. I just don't feel the same way I used to. That's where it really comes down to how you're going about tying everything together to support your cellular health. Just a couple of, again, I'm going to be like, these are simple stuff that you could start implementing. It does go, like, these are more like the basics. So, because I want to give you guys actionable steps to take away from today. But of course, there is more to this depending on your unique situation. But nutrition, making sure you're eating a lot of leafy greens, a lot of berries, salmon, nuts. That helps to flood your cells with antioxidants and a lot of B vitamins. So those are really key. Omega-3, so like fatty fish, chia seeds, flax seeds, that also helps to support your mitochondria. In terms of movement, making sure that you're getting the strength training in, making sure that you're adding in the interval training, right? Those little bursts. Both of those and how you're combining those helps to improve your mitochondrial efficiency. So the way that we design workouts for the women that we work with, and we work with women at different levels, right? But the way that we design them incorporates that's one of our that's a big part of our protocol, our method, is how we're incorporating the workouts to make sure that we're improving your mitochondrial efficiency. Another thing is just hydration. So even mild hydration can just slow down your energy production. So making sure that you're aiming for at least half of your body weight in ounces in terms of water. If needed, maybe supplementing with like electrolytes if you're getting a lot of movement. If it's really hot where you are, that's where we strategize differently. But just simply getting half your body weight in ounces per day to support hydration. Like I said before, stress management, right? Using different relaxation practices that work best for you to help your body recover. Breath work is a simple one. If you don't have much time, just taking 60 breaths throughout the day whenever you do feel amped up. Before going to bed, doing some light stretching, these are all like journaling. Like I said, it doesn't have to be fancy, but just making sure that you're finding something that helps you wind down. And in terms of just looking at cellular health, this is a question I get asked about a lot because a lot of them are like, well, like, how do I know? Or like once we start making these changes, right? Like, how do I know if my cells are working better? There are a lot of more like in-depth testing that you could do to see that, but just basic ones like vitamin D, iron and ferritin play a big role, your B12, your thyroid panel again, in terms of like other tests like CoQ10, NAC, that there's other more specific tests you could look at, but again, like test results are just results. If you don't know what to do with them, it doesn't help, right? But if you are feeling like, oh my God, I'm eating really well, I'm doing all these things, but I'm still feeling so drained, I'm still feeling so tired, that's a sign that what you're doing isn't supporting your cellular health, and then everything upstream is going to have trouble working properly. So again, guys, I really learned all this. I learned my lesson. I learned this lesson firsthand, really, after my cycling accident and my concussion. My hormones, again, completely out of balance. I felt like I had lost total control over my body. And when my health was compromised like that, everything else in my life couldn't move forward. Not my work, not my goals, my joy. So that experience is really what taught me that, I always believed health was the foundation to everything, but like that really put in my face of like, wow, your health is truly the foundation to everything else, right? It affects so many different aspects of your life. And while my story, again, wasn't tied to perimenopause, this lesson is the same. When your biology shifts, that's the moment to lean in and invest in your health, invest in learning more about what your body needs, not just push it aside, not just like, oh, it's just my hormones, I can't do anything about it. Like that, I did feel like that way at first. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, like, I don't have my period, like, oh, my body's like broken, my body's failing on me. That doesn't serve you anything, right? It's until I understood, okay, this is what my body's lacking, and I was able to get my period back. I was able to reverse my hypothyroidism. I was borderline hypothyroidism. I was able to reverse that. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from today's talk, is don't, especially if you're going through perimenopause or you're experiencing any type of like hormonal shifts, you're just feeling not like yourself, don't wait until things get worse. Start now, start with these basics, take matters, into your own hands, know your body, know the right numbers when needed, take these small daily actions to build that energy and resilience in your body, because your body is resilient. It just needs the right kind of support. And if you're listening to this right now, you're thinking like, I've tried the diets, I've tried the workouts, I've tried all these different supplements, or I'm like I'm trial and error with all these supplements. I've gotten advice from doctors, or they brush me off, and I'm still stuck. That's exactly why we do what we do at Flexus Fitness. Most programs stop at surface level advice, or they only focus on workouts, they only focus on nutrition, which most of the time is just calories in, calories out, or macros. They only look at labs and throw a bunch of supplements at you, right? So what makes our approach very different is we're here to connect all the dots. And we're here to really be a partner in your health journey to connect these dots, your hormones, your metabolism, your cellular health, and your lifestyle. So that way your body starts to finally respond properly and lasting results actually happen. Because not only are you targeting what your body really needs at a deeper level, but you're also understanding what that looks like, what you need to keep doing. So if you want to learn more about what that type of support could look like, if you want to get away from trial and error, constantly, trying to piece all this information on your own, feel free to message me or drop the word energy in the comments below, wherever you're watching from right now. And if it makes sense, then we could talk more about how we would apply this at a level that actually transforms your body and your energy for the long term. So thank you so much. And Danae, I'm just going to call you Danae because I see your username. I don't know if that's your first name. I could just see the username right now. But thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you for those kind words. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad to have you following along. And that's it, ladies. Let me know if you guys have any other questions, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.